Overthinking often feels humiliating. You understand what is happening. You can explain it logically. You might even be able to explain it better than most people. And yet your mind keeps returning to the same thoughts, the same questions, the same moments, the same internal conversations. This creates a painful contradiction. If I know better, why can't I stop? For many people, this question becomes heavier than the overthinking itself. Because once knowledge fails, self-judgment takes over. You start believing that something must be wrong with you, that you are weak, undisciplined, emotionally broken, or somehow incapable of applying what you know. But this belief is built on a misunderstanding, because the brain does not let go when it understands. It lets go when it feels safe. And understanding alone does not create safety. Most conversations about overthinking focus on thoughts, on cognition, on mindset. But overthinking is not primarily a thinking problem. It is a regulation problem. It emerges when the nervous system remains in a state of alert, when the body senses unresolved threat, when safety has not yet been established. From the brain's perspective, letting go too early feels dangerous, so it keeps monitoring, scanning, replaying, analyzing, not to torture you, but to protect you. This is where many people get stuck. They believe that insight should be enough, that awareness should solve the problem, that knowing why something happens should make it stop. But the nervous system does not operate on insight. It operates on experience. It asks a different question. Not, does this make sense? But, is it safe to stop paying attention? And until the answer is yes, the loop continues. Overthinking is not a sign that you are failing. It is a sign that your nervous system is still doing its job. A job it learned long before logic entered the picture. To understand this, we need to step back, far back, to the evolutionary roots of the human brain. The human nervous system evolved in environments where danger was real, unpredictable, and often fatal. Our ancestors did not survive because they were calm. They survived because they were vigilant. Missing a threat once could mean death. Overreacting to a threat merely meant discomfort. So the brain evolved to prioritize false alarms over missed danger. This bias is not a flaw, it is a survival feature, and it still operates today. The brain's primary function is not happiness, it is not peace, it is not even rationality. Its primary function is survival. And survival requires prediction. The brain is a prediction machine. It constantly asks, what might happen next? What could go wrong? What did we miss? What should we prepare for? When prediction is easy, the nervous system relaxes. When prediction becomes difficult, alertness increases. All of these activate the same survival circuits. Uncertainty removes the brain's ability to predict, and unpredictability feels like danger. In the modern world, threats are rarely physical, but the nervous system does not distinguish between physical and psychological danger. Social rejection, conflict, failure, loss. So when something feels unresolved, unclear, or emotionally charged, the brain stays online. It keeps returning to it. Not because it enjoys doing so, but because from its perspective, unfinished business equals unfinished safety. This is why telling yourself to just let it go rarely works. Letting go without safety feels reckless to the nervous system. It interprets forced letting go as suppression, and suppression often increases vigilance rather than reducing it. The more you try to push thoughts away, the more the brain assumes they must be important. If you are fighting this thought, the brain reasons, there must be a reason to monitor it. So it stays. This creates a paradox. The harder you try to stop overthinking, the stronger it becomes. Not because you are doing it wrong, but because your strategy is aimed at the wrong system. You are addressing the cortex, while the alarm is coming from the body. Many people discover this the hard way. They read books. They watch videos. They understand trauma, attachment, anxiety, cognition, and still, at night, the mind spins. This can feel deeply discouraging. If even knowledge doesn't help, they think, what hope is there? But this conclusion misses something essential. Knowledge was never meant to regulate the nervous system. Experience was. Safety is not an idea. It is a physiological state. It is something the nervous system learns gradually, through repetition. And until safety is experienced, not explained, the brain remains cautious. This brings us to one of the most important distinctions in understanding overthinking. Thoughts are not the problem. They are the symptom. When thoughts become repetitive, intrusive, or sticky, they are signaling something underneath. Usually, that something is unresolved activation, tension in the body, hypervigilance, a sense of threat that has not yet been discharged. Trying to eliminate the symptom without addressing the state that produces it is like silencing a smoke alarm without putting out the fire. The alarm is not the enemy, it is the messenger. Overthinking often intensifies when people feel emotionally unsafe, after conflict, during transitions, when relationships feel uncertain, when identity is shaken. The brain monitors because it senses instability, and until stability is restored, it refuses to disengage. This is why overthinking often returns strongest at night. During the day, activity and distraction keep the nervous system occupied. At night, when external input decreases, internal signals become louder. The body finally has space to process what it could not earlier. So the mind begins reviewing. This is not failure, it is delayed processing. Many people try to solve this by distracting themselves even more. Endless scrolling, background noise, constant stimulation. This can provide temporary relief, but it rarely creates lasting regulation, because the underlying state remains unchanged. What actually helps is something far less dramatic and far less forceful. Creating conditions of safety. Not perfect safety, not permanent safety, but enough safety for the nervous system to stand down. Safety does not mean the absence of problems. It means the presence of support, predictability, and regulation. It means the body feels, I can pause now. I don't have to solve this immediately. I am not under threat in this moment. When that signal is received, thinking naturally quiets. Not because you commanded it to stop, but because the system no longer needs it. This is why calm cannot be forced. Trying to force calm tells the nervous system something is wrong. Effort communicates urgency. Urgency communicates danger. And danger keeps the system activated. This is why many relaxation techniques fail when approached aggressively. Calm down becomes another demand, and the nervous system resists demands when it feels unsafe. Instead, regulation works best when it is indirect. Through slowing, through grounding, through rhythm, through repetition, through experiences that teach the body, slowly, that nothing bad happens when vigilance decreases. This learning takes time. The nervous system learns the way muscles learn, through repetition, not insight. Each moment of safety leaves a small trace. Each calm experience slightly rewires expectation. Over time, these traces accumulate, and eventually the brain updates its model of the world. It is safe to let go. Not always, not perfectly, but more often than before. A sudden silence. Overthinking does not disappear overnight. It loosens. The thoughts still appear, but they carry less urgency. They pass more easily. They don't hook as deeply. This is not failure. It is regulation in motion. Many people expect change to feel dramatic, but nervous system change usually feels ordinary. You simply notice one day that the thought didn't return as often, that the loop ended sooner, that you didn't need to resolve everything. These are signs of safety. Another crucial point is this: letting go is not something you do. It is something that happens when safety is sufficient. You cannot will your nervous system into trust. Trust is earned through experience, and the nervous system is conservative by design. It does not let go easily, because in evolutionary terms, letting go too early was costly. So if your mind keeps returning to something, it is not because you are incapable of letting go. It is because your system is still evaluating. Still checking, still ensuring. There is nothing wrong with you for this. In fact, it shows that your nervous system is doing exactly what it was built to do. The problem arises only when we mistake protection for pathology. When we treat vigilance as a personal flaw rather than a biological response. Once you understand this, something important changes. The tone shifts. Instead of fighting your mind, you begin to listen to it. Instead of shaming your thoughts, you become curious about the state underneath them. Instead of asking, "How do I stop this?" you begin asking, "What does my system need right now?" Often the answer is not cognitive. It might be rest, connection, predictability, movement, slowing down. Sometimes it is simply time. The nervous system cannot be rushed. This perspective also explains why compassion is not optional. Self-criticism activates threat circuits. It increases vigilance. It worsens overthinking. Self-compassion, on the other hand, signals safety. It tells the system, "I am not in danger here. I am not under attack. I can soften." This is not indulgence, it is regulation. When you stop treating overthinking as a personal failure, something loosens. Not because you fixed anything, but because you removed an additional layer of threat. The threat of self-judgment. This does not mean resigning yourself to overthinking forever. It means approaching change in a way that aligns with how the nervous system actually works. Safety first, understanding second, letting go last. So if you are someone who understands your patterns but still struggles with them, know this. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are not failing. Your nervous system is still learning that it is safe to rest. And learning takes time. The goal is not to eliminate thoughts. The goal is to create a state in which thoughts no longer need to shout. As safety grows, thinking softens. Not because you forced it, but because it is no longer necessary. And that is when letting go happens. Quietly, naturally, without effort. If this perspective resonates with you, you are not alone. Many people live for years believing they must think their way out of overthinking. But the path forward is not more thinking, it is more safety. On this channel, we explore psychology from the inside out, not as a set of techniques, but as an understanding of how nervous systems adapt, protect, and heal. If you want to continue exploring this approach, you are welcome to join us. Not to fix yourself, but to understand yourself more deeply. And from that understanding, allow change to happen, slowly, safely, and in its own time.